Hello guys, this is our Stano for All YouTube channel where we provide English and Hindi shorthand dictation at different speeds for various skill tests. Get ready for 160 word per minute shorthand dictation. Start. When the Nepal-India dispute over the Himalayan territory of Olympia-Dhura flared up in May, New Delhi opinion makers presented it as the doing of an upstart nation run by a renegade prime minister, thumbing its nose at India, that too at Beijing's instigation. Kathmandu's polity bristled at the accusation, and the entire political spectrum came together in nationalist climax to adopt a new map which included Olympia-Dhura. There has been much bloodletting over the past 4 months, with one side India petulant, the other angry. New Delhi pointedly says it will sit for talks only after the COVID-19 pandemic, and some North Indian TV channels have targeted Nepal's Prime Minister KP Oli with revolting coverage. In turn, he abandoned diplomatic decorum to question India's commitment to Satyamev Jayate, and then claimed the true birthplace of Lord Ram was situated in present-day Nepal. This tailspin must be halted so that the most exemplary interstate relationship of South Asia may recover. De-escalation must happen before the social, cultural and economic flaws across the open border suffer long-term damage. Fear of abandonment right off the bat. New Delhi analysts must try and understand why Nepal does not have an Independence Day. It would help them in unraveling the Olympia-Dhura tangle and accepting the need to go back to the archival papers and misdemeanors of the East India Company and the successive viceroys and governors general right down to the imperious present. From the Kathmandu perspective, Indian diplomacy seems increasingly unresponsive under the centralized control of the Prime Minister's office as geopolitical capacity dwindled. Indian commentators have returned to lambasting helpless Pakistan while ignoring China, the true would-be adversary. With regard to China, New Delhi has nurtured a paralyzing paranoia regarding the Himalayan range that goes back to the 1962 debacle, a condition now worsened by the Galwan intrusion. Nepal, Bhutan and India's own Himalayan tracts are regarded merely as strategic buffers under this ossified policy. In addition, there is the constant preoccupation with neighbors who have supposedly sold out to China. A confident nation state without fear of abandonment would have behaved differently on Olympia-Dhura. The cause of the chasm that has opened up between Kathmandu and Delhi relates to the disputed ownership of the triangle north of Kumaon, including the Olympia-Dhura ridge line, the high pass into Tibet at Lipu Lake, and the Kalapani area hosting an Indian Army garrison. New Delhi's position on the dispute is based on its decades-long possession of the territory, coupled with Kathmandu's implied acquiescence through its silence and the omission of Olympia-Dhura on its own official maps. Nepal's claim is centered on the Treaty of Sugauli 1815, whose language reads, "The Raja of Nepal renounces all claim to the countries lying to the west of the river Kali." No agreement has superseded that treaty, and so no subsequent cartographic chicanery by the company, Sarkar or successor government can undermine the 1815 document. Essentially, Nepal wants to stay with what was considered the upstream Kali at the time of the treaty's signing 205 years ago, while the colonized parts of South Asia have had to deal Western surnames that pervade their maps and frontiers, such as Radcliffe, McMahon, and Durand. A historically evolved country such as Nepal would tend to rely more on proof of continuous state administration. Journalist Barab Rizal, who celebrated his 93rd birthday on August 13, was the government official conducting the 1953 national census in the Olympia-Dhura villages, whose citizens also voted in the first democratic elections of 1959. Land records were kept in Nepal's district headquarters of Darchuland, Bathadi until access was blocked in the 1960s by the Indian base at Kalapani. Kathmandu responded with sensitivity to Indian strategic concerns before and after the 1962 China-India War by allowing the Indian Army post to be stationed within what was clearly its territory at Kalapani and not publicly demanding its withdrawal. However, following the advent of democracy in 1990, the demand for evacuation of Kalapani gained momentum. Kathmandu's diplomats deny the accusation of passivity over the decades, saying that as the weaker power, Nepal preferred quiet diplomacy and that Kalapani had never been off the table since talks began in the early 1980s. As for the possession argument, if control of a disputed region were to confirm ownership, then what of China's continuous hold over Aksai China since independence? Regarding the suggestion of Nepal acting on China's behest, in fact, Kathmandu considers China complicit on Lipu Lake and has lodged strong protests with Beijing regarding its joint plans with New Delhi on use of the high pass road to Lipu Lake from the time when a joint communique was issued in 1997 during I.K. Gujral's prime ministership down to the present time of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The two governments have agreed that a territorial dispute exists on upstream Kali and have assigned negotiators. Now dictation has been completed. You can transcribe now. Dictation has completed. I hope you will like this dictation.